When you were playing that record, what were you thinking?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Take 25. I'm your host, Luke Irvin. If you are new here, I sit down and have conversations with other creatives. These creatives could be anything from a musician to a filmmaker to another podcaster to an entrepreneur. But they all have one thing in common. They are all connected to Arkansas in some way. And in today's episode, I am joined by Brett Helms. Brett is an upcoming college graduate who is going for a degree in filmmaking. He currently runs Leaping Dog Films, and right now he is directing the upcoming Conway Film Festival. So this is a film festival that had been going on here in Conway for a while and then kind of went on hiatus, but now he is helping bring it back. So we're going to dive deeper into that and kind of the logistics around film festivals in this episode, but definitely go check out his current films. I'll link everything below, of course, so you can go check out some films that he's made. But I really hope you enjoy this conversation. I definitely learned a lot. I've attended film festivals, but haven't really ran them enough to know all the logistics around it. So if you're someone who's an aspiring filmmaker or interested in film festivals, I think you'll get a lot of knowledge in this episode. And I really hope you enjoy it. Conway Film Festival's coming up in October. It's going to be free. All the information will be below. So without further ado, let's dive into this episode. I hope you enjoy this conversation I have with Brett. Well, Brett, thanks, man, for joining the show. I know we're kind of new because we're just now getting connected. But as I've gotten into the community here, I know I've seen your name quite frequently. So let's just kind of start off with... are you from Arkansas or did you relocate here?
I've been living in Arkansas ever since I was born. I was actually originally from Fayetteville, so I've been there basically my entire life. And I've just recently moved to Conway for college. But other than that, yeah, it's just been Fayetteville my entire life.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because Fayetteville, there's so much going on there. I've got so many connections. I'm hoping to kind of like start expanding the show because so many of my guests lately have been Central Arkansas, and I want to reach out there more. Why'd you choose Central over there? Because Fayetteville is just there's so much going on, and not only like film but tech as well.
Well, so yeah, there is like the film going on. The only two universities in Arkansas that really do have a film program are John Brown and UCA. I looked at John Brown, but that was like a very Christian school, and I was like, that's probably not for me. So I decided to do UCA because U of A, they don't have a film program. They kind of do. It's a documentary based, which I wasn't that interested in. Like, I think at some point UCA or U of A will probably make a film program, like an actual legit, because they have the money. They can stop putting the funds into football, even though that makes them money. But like they just need a good film program, and that's one thing that I've been trying to kind of push. UCA is just like focus on a good film program because the film industry is going to start growing here soon. There's been like laws that have been passed to make this one of the cheapest states to shoot here to begin with. So I just think that UCA was the best option just because I had friends who went there previously because I was from Fayetteville High School. And so my teacher, she actually went there, and just a lot of other students were recommending me that. So I went there and I really like how just it looked, and I decided to go.
Nice.
But
yeah,
got a lot of decent scholarships out of it as well. There was this film I made during high school, and it won for like a $5,000 THEA scholarship. So that was definitely another.
Which film was that?
That was Stalker. It was this one film where it was based off a dream that I had, and I could vividly remember it. So I decided to just kind of write it all down and then recreate it. I did not have any other liberty over it. I just put down what I remembered and then I shot it. It was just very convenient because the dream was actually places in Fayetteville that I could film at. So yeah.
That's wild. So we connected for something UCA related, and we'll definitely get to that. But before we get to that, just really curious more so on your story. Growing up, was film always the core passion you had? I'm curious if you did anything creative wise that wasn't film.
Honestly, it was basically just film. I did
Yeah.
have a little bit of like an art side. I would draw a little bit. I remember I would make comics and stuff and show them to my friends and stuff. And I think that's kind of what kind of ignited that passion to show videos and stuff, because it was a little bit easier. And I also came to the conclusion that I wasn't that good at art. Like I saw other people who were like, I could do this. I was like, damn, okay, so maybe not. But with video, it seemed like I had something special because everyone was being like amazed by that. There's not a lot of people doing it. So I just kind of rolled with that for a long time. And it never really got serious until the high school, which had a film program. So basically it all started with like a little flip camera that my mom gave me. And I would just make little skits with friends and nothing beyond that. It was just small random YouTube skits that did not make any sense. And yeah, it was just kind of one of those things where over time I took it more serious for the film program, and here I am.
Yeah, I feel like that's generally how most film starts, is always with skits and stuff.
Yeah.
In high school for me, we had a more in-depth computer side of options versus film. We literally had one class. So I mean, I took it, and that's where I got my basis of, how to operate a camera, how to go out and kind of think of a story, or, the idea of a story, craft it into a story, go film it, and come back and edit it. So I did a little bit of that, and yeah, that's fascinating. So through your films, what's your experience in going through like film festivals and stuff? How many have you done? Because you're kind of co-running one upcoming one, right?
Yeah, I actually had the privilege of directing a festival for the first time. It's crazy, but because as a UCA Film Club president, they came to me and they were like, "Hey, we have this festival that has kind of died because of COVID. There was a lot of reasons why they kind of shut it down, and so they wanted to bring it back for this thing called the Arts Festival, and that's something that like is just hosted every year at UCA, and it's to kind of support artists and stuff. So they wanted to bring it back." And they came to me to kind of help start planning things. Of course, I'm not the only one running it. It's like, a few other people, but I'm the one who's kind of calling the ideas and like finding stuff. So I definitely have a big part, and it's a very, very good experience for me, I would say. But before this, I had festivals. So I think the first festivals that I would go to were in high school, because my teacher, she encouraged us just to go different ones. She would take us to this thing called Student Television Network every year, and it would vary in locations. First year, I think, that I went was Anaheim, California. That was pretty cool. And basically, for that kind of festival, we would sometimes you would submit films and then send it out there, and then maybe you might win something. But the fun stuff I really liked was that we would go there and then we would shoot a film under 8 hours. There was this thing called Crazy Eights, and so basically you were like given a prompt and then maybe a prop, and then you had to make an entire film from writing the script to shooting it to editing it and then turning it on time under 8 hours. It was a crazy experience, and I think it was one of my favorites, just because like you learned so much from it. You had to spend only 8 hours. You knew you were going to finish something at least, and then I think I just learned a lot from it. Like all my weaknesses I could really focus on throughout the years. But yeah, so that was one of the things we did. Other festivals, like just more local, and that was where we dominated a little bit more, because there's not much of a film industry here, like I said. And so like it was mainly, I think, Fayetteville High School, Bentonville, and Springdale really have like big film programs right now. And so we were one of the best. in the state, and so I feel very lucky for that. But yeah, it taught us a lot, and I'm trailing off. But yeah, other than that, those kind of festivals, and then Fayetteville Film Festival, and with the Student Television Network festivals, or STN, I should just call it that. But they that was my first time where I was winning like national awards, and so that's where I think it was Stalker where I won my first 2 national awards, and that was kind of a wake up call, at least for me. Like, this could be serious, and so my parents would like fully support me wanting to go to college to actually major in film. It wasn't like, oh, you could be a side hobby, but you should be like, planning to do just a regular job, if you will. But no, yeah, because I think my sister, she had the also same idea as like going into doing art and stuff, but my parents didn't see it as a viable career, just because like it's such a competitive place already, and so is film. But just proving to them like what I could do, I think they're really able to support me like completely, because throughout high school they were definitely supporting me. They were helping me fund my projects for sure. So I think the just winning festivals was just kind of like the okay, we can let him do what he wants. But yeah, so with those festivals, I think it kind of gave me a better footing in just seeing how other people are outside of Arkansas, because like there are students from like when we went to STN, there was like a range of different schools, and we even saw like kids from elementary school. In Hawaii, I think they teach kids film, which is crazy. Like, I don't know. It's a very interesting concept to say, but I mean, why not? Because Hawaii is just beautiful point of camera, and it's going to look amazing. But
I'm curious to see if we'll even see that advancement in the States, because you got to think right now, like Arkansas is so focused on computer science and education, but when you get into more of the business, entrepreneurial, creative world, we're all essentially media companies. I mean, this is kind of what, like, if you're familiar with like Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, like what he preaches, like you got to think of yourself as a media company first, and then your business second. So I would almost love to see that, to see film being more adamant in education. Real quick, have you done a 24 or 48 hour film project?
I just recently done the 48-hour film festival. It was a very interesting experience.
I've never heard of the Crazy Eights one, so that seems pretty wild. But that compared to a 48, what's the 48 like?
It's a different vibe. I think when you have like with a Crazy Eight, I don't think your mindset is like, oh, we're gonna be trying to write the best film ever. Like under 8 hours, you're just like, let's think of a concept that's kind of easy to execute. And then make it a little special, but like you're not trying to go super big. With 48 hours, you might get a little more ambitious, and that could cause more problems, because the more time you have, the more you want to spend into it. And so it's just a weird line that you kind of cross. But with 48-hour, yeah, we definitely learned a lot. One of the problems I've had with that was that me and my DP, he had a completely different vision. It was like one of my first times really trying to direct, because most of the time I've always wanted to DP, but it was for most of my films, so kind of direct. I wasn't the best at it, because I was just having made 2 different roles. So I was like, let me just focus on directing this time. But my DP was very reluctant on listening to me, and so that was another problem. Is that like our ideas kind of clash, or our styles. I have a more he likes to say I have a very clean style of shooting, like it looks too professional, and he wants it to be more dirty. I'm not sure what he means by that. I can give one example, is that he wanted to do one shot where we like zoomed in on this poison to emphasize like this guy poisoned like some cupcakes.
Yeah.
And when it was a handheld shot, he decided to go in and out of focus mid shot, and I was like, why do we do that? He's like, because it makes it feel real. I'm like, okay. I never used it in the actual film, but that was just like the signs that we had completely different kind of styles of shooting. But the film itself, it was about this guy wanting to he was having a birthday party. Our prop was cupcakes, so he decided to poison a cupcake and give it to a friend who's just being really mean to him. Now in retrospect, at the beginning when we were trying to think of ideas, we were given two genres. We were given either mystery or fish out of water. My first instinct was like, let's just go to something basic. Let's just do some kind of detective thing. And everyone's like, no, that's so basic. That's stupid. And so we're giving ourselves a rougher time on like, like we need to do something big and like super unique. And we kind of wrote ourselves into a dead end because with the cupcake idea, like as funny as it sounds, I don't think it really worked as well as like a detective thing could have done, because it's simple, it's easy to follow. Everyone can kind of be on the same page. With the cupcake thing, we were having to change scenes like on set, and I like already kind of assumed like this is not going to be. It's not going to be a winner. It was the film turned out to be decent, but it was more of the kind of film where I used to learn than like be like, oh, this is my masterpiece or something. But yeah, I think with 48 hours or just competitions where you have to make something under a limited time, is just to have fun. I mean, like unless you're having like weeks to spend on it, but like 48 hours. My friends were thinking like, oh, we're going to make something that we can submit to other festivals in the future. I'm like, we're having to implement a florist and cupcakes into our film. I don't know why we would want to send it to other films, but that was our mindset. And so because I had a previous mindset of working on Crazy Eights, I think it was a little more easy for me to like, don't take it too serious. Yeah. And so, I think for my next time we do a 48 hour, I'm just gonna have to put my foot down and tell them like, we're just gonna not, treat it like it's gonna be our next just masterpiece, because it's just supposed to be a fun project. That's the whole goal of these competitions, is just to kind of get friends together and make something.
Oh, 100%. I'm itching to do one. I always see it when it gets announced, and it's just harder for me just because with family and work, I'm like so busy, but I'm like determined. I don't know if they'll do one before this year's up, but next year I want to do one for sure. Quickly, I don't know if you know Johnny Brannon.
Yes,
he just put out a great video on like the 10 tips for how to be successful at 48 hours. So Johnny, I'll link that below. I wasn't sure if you knew him or not, but yeah, I just watched that video. He put it up a couple days ago, and it's pretty solid.
Yeah, we talked with each other at the Fort Smith Film Festival, actually.
Nice.
Because like he told me about how he won like 3 times in a row. I was like, dang, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like what I was trying to convey to everyone else. I was like, we're just trying to have fun. It was like, no, we're trying to win. I'm like, that's not the mindset that you should have.
That's very interesting. And this may lead into the festival that you're working on. And I guess I can see that, like, because these are things where I'm trying to get educated on. So, I don't know the process of like, if I go do a 48-hour film festival, I'm on a team. Let's say we do really well. What can I do with that? Is everyone kind of on the same playing field? Like, do we all submit this to various film festivals? Does any one person have the rights over it, or is it the team that has the rights over it? And to that note, I mean, with the festival that you're working on, like, what's the logistics behind that? Like, what are other filmmakers doing here? Are they going out and filming something actively and then submitting it, or could they take a past 48-hour film festival or something like that and submit it to this?
So this festival, since we're kind of starting out again, our best kind of like idea was to start out simple. We wanted to do something where it just supports local Arkansas filmmakers. We have a little mistake on the actual Film Freeway account where you can submit foreign films and stuff. And so that won't be screened because it's just like, at least, I think last time I checked, it was like 1,500 films. And I'm like, I am not watching all that. And we also made submissions free. So that's another thing that makes people want to submit more. But like, yeah, with with the Fort Smith Film Festival, there was a lot of like films that were not made from Arkansas, and it just
Mm,
didn't feel like that. Like the experience felt like something I could just watch on YouTube. Like I could look up short films,
mhm,
made around the place. But when there was like a film that was made in Arkansas, I was like, oh, this is interesting, just because like I might know these people or run
mhm,
into them at some point. And so that's kind of what made me think about for this festival, is just making something that kind of puts a spotlight on Arkansas filmmakers, because you don't really get to see that much right now. You
mhm.
can look up a short film on YouTube and watch it, and they might be a lot of popular ones. Because I remember in the Fort Smith, there was this one that like was very professionally made, and like it didn't belong there, because
Mm.
it like it definitely seemed like this guy had like a huge budget and stuff, and then comparing it to like Arkansas films, it's just there's no reason why you should be submitting it to stuff like that. So
Mm.
my idea was just like, let's put a spotlight on the little guys, and
Mhm.
try to grow our industry without having to worry about everything else that's going on like in California or something. So the festival itself is mainly going to be showing off films. I do want to implement having a Q&A with some alumni students from UCA, and who are actually working in the industry right now,
Yeah.
because recently this summer I was doing an internship and working on that feature film that was being shot in Fayetteville with like Martin Lawrence.
Mhm.
And so I met a lot of students that actually went to UCA, and I was very surprised about that, because we don't really talk much about students that go to UCA. At least like
Mm.
it's never like advertised. I know like universities like not Film Freeway, Full Sail, they like to advertise the hell out of
Mhm.
just every student who works on the latest Marvel project, and it's a great idea because it makes a lot of students want to go there. But UCA doesn't really do that, so I want to kind of implement that, just because it
Yeah.
gives students more hope. Like, am I going to college that will actually provide me a career in the future?
Right. It's so crazy too because I remember at one point they were like boosting past creators. There was, I believe it was a girl and she was like in Jurassic World, or I can't remember what movie it was. I want to say it was Jurassic World, where you briefly see like the UCA logo or something.
Huh.
I'm curious if you've reached out to anyone. What about there's like Jason Miller who worked on Echo Boomers.
I have not. No.
Um, I wonder, yeah, like that's first guy that comes to mind because that's I went to Little Rock and watched that film in theater and it was like great. But that's really surprising. Okay, so I love what you're doing though. I do like the whole idea of like supporting the little guys. Um, there's another YouTuber I follow. He's kind of like his kind of brand is like no hashtag like no small creators, and it kind of feels like this fits into that line. Like no one should think of themselves as a smaller creator or like that little guy. Like this is everyone's got the same passion. So really curious before we move on the festival. When did this one officially stop? Was it during the pandemic or did it stop before that?
I want to say a little bit before.
Mm.
Maybe I don't remember, because like
Was it, I guess since you've been at UCA, has it been around or is it just now? Is this
I
like
just now heard about it. So
okay.
yeah, I guess it's been like down for a while. I've
Mm,
heard there's like been a lot of just like money problems, just kind of funding it. And so one of my goals with this festival was to make it something that would be easily just kind of fundable, or
mhm.
something to do every year. Because yeah, it's just uh, one of those things where I really want it to kind of grow. And then throughout the years, I want to implement like 48 hours, crazy eights,
Yeah.
because a lot of students really need that kind of experience, because it's just fun. But I mean, you learn a lot from it as well.
Yeah. Do you mind going into for this festival the one that you're actively working on, like what's the goals of it? What are the outcomes you hope to see from this?
First off, would just kind of being future growth for the festival, but I think a lot of it is just kind of helping put a spotlight on filmmakers,
Mhm.
and like I said, just kind of supporting people. But I think I wanted this to grow into something that can kind of like uh, start bringing attention to the film industry in Arkansas, like showing what people can do. Because like I said, with the Fort Smith Film Festival, it was showing a range of different films that were not just made in Arkansas, but like everywhere in the US. And so I want this to be something where if people watch it, they know like this is made in Arkansas. This is kind of like where they're at, just the progression wise of our film industry. And so I want it to be kind of like an icon for that, showing how we are progressing as a film industry, showing there is, potential, and just setting a good message, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this goal this year at least is just kind of getting people united and like meeting other filmmakers, because it is definitely something harder. I think connections here in Arkansas is a little bit harder than like in California. You might talk to someone and they'll know like a Netflix person, and with here you're not going to really know that many people. You're going to have to pull a lot of strings to end up somewhere. But since I've been very fortunate for that, I also want to bring stuff like that to this festival so students have a good outlet.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's been through all the other filmmakers I've spoken with. The biggest takeaway is always community. Like you need to have that core community of people you can work with, and very fortunate ones usually build that early on and stick with each other. I don't know if you went to the Seed and Spark event where Mark Duplass came.
I don't think I did. No.
That was pretty fascinating seeing him. Like I instantly came back home and watched his South by Southwest keynote, and like he's so adamant on like, if you got $100, put that towards a film and go make something. And then if you can get $1,000, like do that, and try to do that like every chance you get, and just back your team, like build up your team and make sure like everyone's getting a piece of the pie and just kind of growing together. And he said I feel like that's what's been so successful for him, is like he's got his core team that has stuck with him from the beginning, and they just kind of move on. And that's what I love, because like you kind of see that similar in like the startup world as well. So curious, I don't know if are you submitting a film to this as well, or because you're kind of like running it, are you like not gonna do that?
I've been thinking about it. I was like, does it seem wrong for me to submit a film to this festival? At one point, I mean, like, I don't care if I do or not, because the main goal is to kind of put a spotlight on everyone else. I already think I'm already giving enough attention to myself by just directing the festival. So I'm not too worried about submitting films. It's just, kind of trying to find more filmmakers in Arkansas to kind of help support and grow, because that's kind of like the first steps of growing an industry, is forming a community. You can't really make a film without a crew, so you need to start building that and just getting a whole roster of people so we can actually start producing stuff. And so I think that's another thing that like is holding us from making more, like holding us from the potential of growing our film industry is just like the lack of people we might have. I know there is definitely a few, just because I've worked with them, but go to California, you're gonna find thousands of people, or just plenty. Go to Arkansas, you're going to be kind of skeptical. You don't really know. There's only just kind of, it feels like there's a handful, and that might just be because I'm just now only getting my kind of foot stepped into the door for the film industry here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like there is just abundance of filmmakers who are ready to work on a professional film in Arkansas, at least.
I would almost lean like there's more than you probably think.
That's what I want. I think
just through like some of the people I've connected with and some of the events that I've been to, like it's pretty fascinating to bump into people that specialize in very specific things for film, which is really fascinating to me, is that there are people that only want to do like the audio side. I found people that want to do the editing, people that want to be behind the camera. I'm starting to get more involved with the people that want to do like more of the directing and the producing side. So I think there's more here than you think. I think we just need to build out the right tools to help kind of build the hub for all of that, so people realize like, okay, here's this crew in Little Rock and Conway and Fayetteville and wherever. especially with like the bigger festivals going on. Like you've got the Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival. It's bringing in so much attention. You've got the one in Northwest Arkansas. I think there's a lot going on. So going into those notes, curious, like, do you have some projects you don't mind sharing about when you're done with school? Like, are you planning on kind of investing your time in Arkansas and doing some more stuff here?
Yeah, I've actually been like contemplating that for a while now. Is like, once I graduate, do I want to go out and work like out of state? There's been like, I know people, I know a guy who's offered me to kind of go work in California with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, that is an option. That's great. But at the same time, California is super expensive. And, it's also very just super competitive. But like, I also want to go to maybe Atlanta and work on like Netflix productions and stuff. At the same time, it's expensive and it can be very competitive. So now I'm looking here in Arkansas, because now just recently working on like that feature and stuff, meeting other people is like, this can be a viable career just here. And maybe working here might be better to start off with, because I can kind of work here as the industry grows here. And so one of the ideas was kind of staying here where it's somewhat cheaper to live, and kind of working on my own projects. Kind of, I feel like even after college, I'll still have a lot more to learn as a director. So I want to spend more time just like making my own shorts and stuff, just getting a little bit more practice before I actually work on an actual feature. So one of my goals was like to work on some other projects outside of myself, and then in my free time work on my own short films, and then build up to making my own feature at some point, kind of funding that. And one of my goals was to actually make a production company, and that can help kind of support it kind of create a union here, and just make feature films in Arkansas.
That's really cool. I've been thinking about very similar things lately. I feel like we need to find all the people that are wanting to do this and just kind of all meet together and brainstorm and share ideas.
I want to try to make the Conway Film Festival into, is just like bringing everyone together, and then giving everyone's numbers, and then basically just kind of forming a whole union, or just like you said, a hub.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's what we did with the tech community. This was decade ago, but it all started through Twitter. Like we were all just tweeting one another, and it's kind of like, why are we doing this? Let's just go meet in person. And so we went to a Toadsuck Days, and there was like 40 of us that showed up, and it was just so cool because these are graphic designers and web developers, just various entrepreneurs, and then it was so much fun. So then the very next day we just met at a coffee shop, and we're just like, we've got something here. Like we need to turn this into something bigger. And from that, we started doing our own conferences. We did a bar camp, and we did weekly meetups, and just kept growing. So I want to see the same thing for film.
Yeah.
Like doing that kind of stuff. And, you meet when you need to, and then when it's time to actually put in the work, you're putting in the work. So it sounds like you're wanting to do more directing. Have you tried everything? Like it seems like you're leaning more towards directing. Where are you at, like on screenwriting, editing, things like that?
So yeah, I've basically tried to dabble in almost everything right now, just to kind of see maybe I might like this or more than that. But I've done, like, right now I'm kind of focusing on, because if I want to direct at the end of the day, I feel like I should know how to do, like, I should have a good idea of how to do everything else on set. So that's why I've been kind of learning how to do gaffing. I'm actually also learning how to do some sound, and I want to do a little bit more VFX and stuff. So basically have like a good idea for just about every role on a film set. And so, but I think at the end of the day, I do want to direct and also DP. That's like, those are the two things I'm looking into. Screenwriting, I do want to write, but at the same time, I'm not the best at writing. So like the problem I have is that like I have fun ideas, and I can like think about fun sequences. But when it comes to like dialogue, I'm just like, okay. So I usually have someone who kind of helps me throw in some good ideas for dialogue, and then we just kind of go from there. But directing is where I kind of want to settle, but cinematography is something that I would like to do for other projects. It just kind of depends, because over the summer, I've like to talk to other DPs, and they're like, yeah, being a DP can kind of suck, because like you got to make sure you're just physically fit, and like kind of expect to make frequent visits to like the chiropractor down your journey, because it's a stressful career. I'm like, okay, so like it just kind of depends. Maybe I might be a DP for like smaller projects, like if I want to make a short film every now and then. But maybe directing, because as a director, you can choose what shots you do, and I feel like I just have a good vision on how I want to execute each. Like whenever I read a script, I can be like, I can see this, and I think if I can convey that to my DP, then I'll probably just be happy with being a director. Because with the 48 hour, I was having that problem, but I was able to sometimes get the message over to him and be like, this is what I want, and be like, okay, fine. So I think I just need more practice as a director, and to really see if that's where I want to kind of stay. But at the same time, almost everyone wants to direct, so that's why I'm also kind of keeping my horizon open to other things.
No, definitely. I don't think I've really thought of directing at all. I think I'm leaning more towards like the production side of things, just because that seems very interesting. I need to write. I'm the same boat. Like I've got ideas and I need to write them down. I just don't write enough. And I probably need to like invest some money and take like maybe a professional screenwriting class, or just buy some books and educate myself further on it. Cool. So going back into the film festival, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. Can you share, and I want, this is, more so education on me, but really on listeners that are interested in getting into film festivals. What's the behind the scenes process like? If I'm a filmmaker and I want to get my film in, like, can you share like what goes on there? What happens there?
For a film festival? Yeah, I mean, for what we're looking at least for our film festival is, first off, just people who have made the films in Arkansas. We want to show off that like this was made something. We want to support our landscapes and stuff, just like showing this is a great place to shoot at. And I mean, yeah, we're looking for students who can tell good stories, but also professional looking films. That's one of my, I think I've always just kind of had that mindset, like it needs to look pretty as well. For me, I kind of become a fool for how good like a shot can look. And once it kind of looks good, I can kind of appreciate just that. But at the same time, I do like a good story. It depends, because like it's a mixed bag for me. I have a different like taste for films, I'd say. So that's why we're also kind of having multiple judges for this festival. But
is there gonna be like a limit to how many films get in?
Yeah, we want to have I think 2 hours for different sections. We have like 2 hours for like family friendly films, and then 2 hours for the more adult stuff. And so that'll all be screening on Saturday, October 2nd. And with that, we basically would just kind of premiere all those films, and then if people want to come by and chat, the people who actually made those films, they can talk to other people. I wanted to have a Q&A for that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, it's the problem with festivals I've learned is that like there's just so many films that can only get in at one point. They're not just like grading who has the best. It's just like we've already selected them. We just can't fit anymore. I think that was one of the problems with like the Fort Smith Film Festival, is that they just got so much that like they just couldn't accept anymore. Also be like 24-hour festival just showing films constantly. So it is definitely tough. We're gonna have to sacrifice some films, but we're gonna try to select the best and just make sure it's something that kind of has a strong statement for the industry here, and just like kind of sets us off or starts us for the rest of the future of this festival.
Gotcha. That's fascinating. any advice to those filmmakers that may not get into a festival? Like how do they need to approach that? I guess I could see this as like a bummer, like, man, I didn't get in, but hopefully that doesn't bring them down in any way. But like for these newer filmmakers, like any advice for them?
Definitely don't feel discouraged. I mean, like, at some point you're going to get into a film festival, and I think that will just make you feel even better. But like, I mean, don't expect to win every time. And I think with that, I think it's good to be challenged. Because like in high school, I've had other students who I thought were better than me. So like it pushed me to become better. It made me want to learn more. I think that's a good thing, is that like failure, you'll learn more from that than success. And so if you don't get in a festival, I think that'll just kind of make you want to focus on, improving. So it can be sad, but I think you just gotta look at it in a positive way and see how you can progress. And at the same time, like I said, sometimes you're just not lucky because they already got all the films submitted, or they already have all the films picked and they just couldn't fit yours in. So it just sometimes comes down to that, but you never really know. There's just a lot of reasons why. And also with judges, they're always going to be biased in some way. They might not like horror films, so they might not choose yours. They might love horror films, you never know. So it don't always feel like your film's not worth it. It really depends on how if you don't like the film itself, then maybe, there's a reason why. But I would just say, don't stress too much about it.
Yeah, agree. With basically the state of the world and what we're in, is there going to be any streaming side to your festival? Have y'all thought about that?
I want to be able to stream it on either YouTube or just something that people can watch it. So in case they can't come, we would just have it as a streaming option.
Nice. Yeah, I was curious on that. It just seems like with things like, I'm curious if there's any influx in like, I really want to go, but I just don't want to be in person. Can I watch it at home? Is there any kind of, I'm curious on this as well. For filmmakers that are trying to get into festivals, do you think they should also just like throw their films like on YouTube or Vimeo or anything like that? Is there any pros and cons to going in that kind of approach of like, let me put it on a platform where anyone can watch it versus let me keep it exclusive and go directly to a festival?
I used to be told that like you should never have your films on YouTube because that might disqualify it for being a festival. But I was now told that like there's no point. That's like very rare for someone to be like, oh, your film was on YouTube, so now we can't, have it in the festival. I guess it's more for like films that might be going to Sundance or something, where it's like supposed to be like a very huge exclusive, but usually you will just like be as like, if they don't want on YouTube, be like, oh, can you just put it, as private for now while it shows here at this festival? But I wouldn't worry too much because it's always good to have your film on YouTube. So if someone like asks you, oh, what kind of stuff you do, you can just share all the stuff you've done. I've like built a website. So if people ask like what kind of work I have done, I have a whole basically resume of like all the films that I've made. So I would definitely support having your films on some kind of media so you can just share them with people easily.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I've always been curious about that. It's always seemed like, oh no, you should never like I guess it makes sense for like a feature film. Like if you're trying to get to Sundance and eventually get it to like, worldwide, I get that. But for a short film, like I would want anyone and everyone to see it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's exciting. So it seems like y'all are still, are we past the deadline now at this point? When's the deadline for submitting films?
It is September 17th.
Okay, so it's coming up. How many films were we at so far? You mentioned
for Arkansas films. Last time I checked, it was like 50. And so my goal at least is to kind of make sure What I want is, it's better to have more short films, like
Mhm.
5 minutes, than like, a few amount of like 15-minute films, just because I want quantity, but also quality.
Mhm.
It's just, I don't want just people watching like 5 30-minute films or something. So the
Yeah.
shorter is the better, I would say. And also that's just for kind of in festivals in general. Most people would rather watch 5 minute film than like, 15-minute film, because it's just much easier to go through them. And then you can just have more of a variety of films. And that's what I want, is a variety.
Oh yeah. The few that I've attended here, I love that. I like that. I've gone to some specific. I've gone to like horror focused ones and then variety ones. So overall, they're all a blast. Great. One last thing on top of my mind. Is there any other like support you're looking for the festival? Did y'all raise any money? Like, is there any kind of local business partnerships you've tried to go after or hoping to get? Just curious on that end, because this is free, right? This is all free this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, for the most part, I think a lot of the funding might come through the film club.
Okay.
One of the ideas I had was that we usually do a film club fee every year,
Mhm.
and that just kind of helps us fund for things like this. So that's kind of what I'm putting the money into. But like for where we're screening and stuff, we're actually just using the film department. So it's going to be relatively cheap to begin with.
Yeah.
But funding in the future would also go towards like getting awards. And we're also planning to do like food and stuff, just snacks and other stuff, like maybe paying for celebrities to come down, directors, just to, kind of talk. So the more money we get into this is just the more bigger of an event that we can have. But for the most part, we can do most of this stuff for free, just because we're, we have a free place to screen stuff, and that's kind of the main goal, is just doing that. But I think for future festivals, we would have an actual submission fee, like maybe $5 or so, just so we can get that adding up, so we can fund other small things. But yeah, for the most part, this is just kind of a test run to see and kind of bring it back without, I think with the fee, it kind of limit us maybe from some submissions, because people might be hesitant. So making it free definitely is more makes people feel more invited to submit.
Sure. Definitely. Can people like volunteer and help? Are y'all looking for any extra hands?
At the moment, we don't really have anything that we need. Maybe we can have some ushers.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
it's pretty solid, right? Sounds like things are looking good.
Yeah, everything just seems kind of simple right now at this point.
Yeah.
But I think I would say maybe just some ushers is the only thing I'm looking for, and maybe future sponsors. But yeah.
Nice. Well, I got some ideas there. We'll talk about it offline after this. But that's awesome. I'm really excited. I'm hoping I'll be here to attend. That's a goal of mine, is I want to come check it out and support in any way I can. So lastly, what are the dates, the official dates, and where can people go to get more information?
If you want to get a lot of the information, you can check out Film Freeway / Conway Film Festival. We're posting a lot of that, kind of all the information of the deadlines, when the event's being hosted. And then also, if they want to contact me personally, they can just kind of DM me on Instagram at Brett Helms. And yeah, for a lot of the information is just going to be on the Film Freeway. And in the future, I want to create an Instagram account so we can kind of also advertise. But just for this year, we're trying to keep it simple and confined. So, for future people who might want to help run the festival, we don't have to like give them just all these documents on logins or whatever. But yeah, we're just trying to keep it nice and simple right now.
Cool. And when is it again? This is first weekend in October, right?
Yeah, October 2nd. Okay. Saturday.
So 1 day event. Okay. All day. Is it 8 to 5 or what's the hours?
It's like, because we're still trying to figure out how many films we're going to be showing.
Gotcha.
We're trying to make at least 2-hour segments for each. And then we want to have a few like breaks in between so people can talk to each other. But it's going to be like basically a whole day thing that people can kind of drop in and see what's going on. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, any of the links we'll post below, and if there's any links you want for to reach out to you or see what you're up to, we'll post those too.
Yeah,
cool. Well, I'm excited. I hope we can offline continue talking about future film festivals and see how we can get more support.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again. All right. Thank you so much for listening and maybe even watching this episode. As always, please let me know down below. What did you think of this episode? Where did you find this episode? Are you a regular listener, or did you discover this maybe through Brett's Facebook page or somewhere else? Definitely would love to know that. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. That way you can stay up to date on future episodes. This was a big one. This was episode 9, so we're getting into the double digits coming up soon. So with episode 10 coming up, I'm trying to figure out if I want to maybe do a solo episode and maybe do a live stream so that way I can answer some of your questions. But I got quite a few people that I'm going to be reaching out to pretty soon so we can keep this series moving forward. So once again, thank you so much for checking this out. We've got this film festivals coming up, and I'm going to do my best to be in attendance there. So if you happen to discover this film festival through the show and you see me there, be sure to say hi. I will try to update my socials if I'm unable to make it. But once again, thank you so much for listening. All of the links will be down below. This festival is going to be free to attend, so be sure to check it out and stop by. As mentioned, it's going to be an all-day event, so if you can't attend the whole day, that's okay, but maybe you can stop by for at least one of the blocks and check out some of the films from these local filmmakers, which is really incredible. So, again, thanks for checking out. Subscribe, follow. That's going to help grow the show. Be on the lookout for more episodes. I'm really excited. I can't believe getting to 10 episodes already. That's pretty crazy. But the goal is, complete one season, which will be 25 episodes. So going to keep moving forward. I'm looking forward to having more guests on here, try to expand and get past the filmmaking, get some other creatives that I know on here so you can learn more about other industries here in Arkansas. So be on the lookout. So once again, thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one.
I'm sweating. Yeah. In 2010, thought I was doing something, and now I'm